Hi, Thomas.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to our picnic.
Yes.
So we prepared this picnic for you.
That's so nice.
So some things are artificial and some things you can eat.
And I have to guess, it's like, is it cake or not? Yeah?
If not, we can play this. At the,
So nice, we have 20 minutes.
and we have orange juice that we made ourselves.
Yes,
and
with a machine, actually.
And coffee. Do you want something?
Can I have some coffee,
Of course,
please?
of course. I can.
Yeah.
I can.
It's so nice.
Can you give me your?
I'm drinking some orange juice.
Orange juice, yeah.
I will.
I will have some also,
Yeah.
I think, if it's okay. to
It's all
have
for
both.
you, so you can.
It's not like in the Matrix, I don't have to choose either.
No.
Yeah, it can be both.
So we are here to talk about a little bit of your show that is called Showroom. But first, I think we should start the conversation talking about your partnership with Igor and with Rébecca. So how long have you been working together?
The three of us, we've been working together for 5 years, I would say, but Igor a bit more, maybe 7. Igor and I are together, we are a couple, and we've been together for 9, but we only started to work for 7, I would say, years together. And Rébecca and I, we did the same school, La Manufacture, which is a theater school. So, and Igor and I, we did the same university. So somehow we are all connected. And, but we never really worked together, the three of us, and we have like very different practices or backgrounds at the same time. Igor also comes from social sciences, political sciences and anthropology. He was a journalist. And Rébecca writes a lot of poetry, like solo and slams and spoken poetry. And I teach acting also. And somehow we decided to combine those practices together 5 years ago and to do a first show called Self-Help. And then the second one was Showroom that we're presenting here.
And how do you think that these differences between you work in the results, you know?
That's the best part, is that everyone brings something to the table, and we don't have the same is it sensitivities or sensibilities? One of the two. And for instance, Rébecca and Igor love to talk about the aesthetics of the show. They are really connected to that, and they can bring something to it. And then in the writing, for instance, one of us starts to write, then the other proofread or read again, and that's really something. And we also have like a common love for certain stuff. We always say that what brought us together is our common love for Tina Turner, which is not true, which is kind of true, but also the fact that we are both, the three of us are children of immigration in Switzerland. We have somehow the similar background. Parents from not working class, but let's say a popular background. And that's something that has somehow gathered us also, that we share.
So we prepared
we are going to move on to Showroom.
How long? When
like physically? Or like with our minds
we
on it?
wish, but no, just in conversation.
So we prepared a little game for you.
Okay.
To talk about Showroom. I don't know, how do you call this game? I don't know if you...
In French we call them coin.
Oh, because in Portugal,
Makes
at least I call it cocas because it's the name of the frog from the Muppets.
Ah,
And
I
I-
it.
Yeah,
yes.
because apparently this looks like a frog.
But I call it Quantos queres, that it's like how many?
How many? Because
Because you said that's the beginning of the
because
game.
that's the beginning of the game.
So-
I
I
know in French you call them, just to just to
Of
let
course,
you know a bit
no,
more
but-
about my
yeah,
culture.
please tell us.
Coin, because it looks like when you do this, coin, it's, it's the sound of a small animal or something.
It's like a duck,
Like
no?
a duck.
Like a duck, yeah.
So
Frog,
yeah,
duck,
frog, probably. Yeah.
Whatever.
I think they look like flowers, so we thought they look beautiful here, so that's why.
So
But,
the
do you
game
know
is...
the game, right?
do you know
Yeah,
it? The game is simple, you choose a
number.
name.
Between
Choose a number.
1 and 10.
Hi, go
1
on.
and 10. And then we have a color, you pick a color, and then a word comes up. And I think that with these words, you can talk about showroom, but like about these themes in general, because they interest you, because they were like the start point for you to start working with Igor and Rébecca. So
And they were
feel
part
free
of the
to-
conversation at some point in the process of showroom. So
we identified these themes when we were looking at the materials of showrooms.
Okay.
So I think.
So it's not
they-
totally random.
No, no.
No, no,
I don't think it will be,
no.
I don't think it will be any surprise any of
Okay.
these words. So choose a number between 1 and 10.
So you, 6.
1, 2, 3. So you have yellow, purple, pink, and blue.
Yellow then.
Yellow.
It used to be
So-
when I was a child. It was my most favorite color.
Okay.
Oh, we had it right.
So
Yeah.
the first word is progress. I think it's.
Oh, wow, yeah. Yeah, well, it's difficult not to talk about showroom then, because the idea in showroom, when we started working on it, we wanted to work on the automation of society and how people and the jobs that will get lost that will be replaced by machines. And when we wanted to go and talk to people that did those jobs, to interview them, and one of the phrases, sentences that came back often and often was like, "Oh, you can fight progress. That's progress. That's how it is." And we wanted to know a bit more about why this fatality, why are people okay with this, and also why is this idea progress? Where does it come from, and how did it become so powerful? Why did we have all integrated it as something inevitable that we have to
Move
handle?
forward to.
Yeah, and also why did it become the way also we apprehend history? That somehow we would always go towards progress, and that's something that has been a bit. This vision has been a bit in crisis for the last maybe 20 or even more. If we listen to the scientists, because of the global warming, and also because we realize that the way we live is somehow not. We have this concept in French culture called the Glorious 30. It's the 30 years after World War II, in which people had this impression of everything was possible. Mass consumption was at its peak. You could start from the bottom of the ladder and climb all the steps to become a big shot. But now we realize that it's not possible, and sometimes it's a famous trope in conversations that our generation realized that we don't have the same benefits as our parents. That for our parents it was possible when they were 30 to buy a house or something with a normal,
Exactly.
and we have to study a lot to do a lot of things and to get paid even less than our parents. So this idea of progress is in crisis, and we wanted to understand where it came from and how did it somehow pervaded, integrate our minds, and yeah, that's it.
And I think that you also, like, it's on crisis now, but was it ever, who benefits from this progress ever?
Yeah, well, that's,
you know,
it's always
was
the
it
same.
ever like on fashion, like this idea?
Yeah, that's something we talk about. It's the fact that society is not so much replacing people by machine. It's more like a group of people replacing, discarding another group of people. Like people with the jobs that were accessible are being replaced, and that's yeah, that's something.
And also, like, it's funny because we are preparing a work as well, and we have been talking about work, and this the work is like a pervading idea within society.
Work is
And
another
like,
big.
what other social relations are there for you to do
Yeah.
when machines are taking over?
Yeah.
Also, of course, there's a majority of people that it's exploited by a minority, but also this idea that work defines human.
Yeah.
When you do not have work to do,
You don't have purpose
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
reason to be,
so
or value or worth.
yeah. So I thought it was funny because our works are crossing in that way.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that the conversation about generations makes more obvious to talk about, because I think, I think the price of work is something that I feel like the younger generations are.
We will have to, at some point, humanity will have to come to terms with the idea of work, and we will have to find another solution for.
Yeah. What is work, and
What your
do you do
relationship
when we're
with
not
work.
working? Eating and having a picnic.
Can we eat some of it?
Of
Yes,
course.
of course. These are vegan, and it's carob, not chocolate.
It's not
Okay,
chocolate.
it's
Too
carob.
late.
Too late.
That's in my mind.
But you can pretend that it's chocolate. It's something.
Yeah.
No, it's really good.
Ah, okay.
No,
Thank
it's,
you.
it's
And
good,
you-
right?
Yeah?
I
Can
was
I-
eating them earlier.
Can I give you orange
Yeah.
juice?
Do you
Okay.
want
Thank
more?
you.
Should
this
we
is
do
working.
another more?
Yeah?
Yeah.
We can.
Okay, so you have to pick a number again.
3.
3. 1, 2, 3, and the colors are pink, red, black, and blue.
Pink.
Of course, right, the right choice.
Yeah.
And the word is cyborg. Funny because we have the book right here.
Those choices seem way easy. Can I have a look at what it is?
No. So we brought the book actually. I think we can show it there. Because we know it's one of the references at least of your show. And also I think this video is meant for you to also talk a little bit about your references and so, and also I think this reference is it's cool because it has its relation with the gender. Yeah. So I think it's like a good word to talk about all these dimensions.
So when we first created Showroom, it was I think 3 or 4 years ago, before COVID, and we did like a first, not a work in progress, but like some kind of work in progress around it. And the ending was a bit more, not sinister, but a bit more dark. And that's something we realized that we wanted to bring a bit more hope into the ending of the project, like maybe something else is possible as opposed to what it has always been. And that's, and in reading Donna Haraway, I'm showing it again to the camera. And in reading
it's not sponsored. This video is not sponsored.
And in reading Donna Haraway, that's really gave us this kind of content, this kind of life. Because we talk a lot about machines, automation, but Donna Haraway has another way of defining the cyborg. It's not like the cyborg like we have in mind, and she talks about it, the Terminator. This like very, how do you say, viril, like very manly, the cyborg that is supposed to be human but stronger. She, through the text, she actually takes the cyborg as an image to redefine gender, redefine the relationship between nature and culture, human and animals, and that's something that helped us realize that other stories or other narratives were possible, and that's something we end the show with.
Yeah.
And in Showroom, the books and the things that you read for the show
are part of the text, because a lot of the show is subtitles. It's like a machine on stage, and so some of the references are quoted directly. That was our idea, to develop a machine for this play, which is the subtitles. And as an audience member, you sometimes have to choose between, am I looking at the actress on stage, or do I want to follow the story? And the story is going quite fast, like history. So at some point you can feel a bit alienated yourself because it's going fast and there's a lot of content, so you have to keep up. And you are put in this position where you feel like you are being made redundant a bit. 8.
So you have yellow again.
Yellow. No.
Purple, pink, and black. But it's another one.
It's another one that's yours. So pink again.
Pink again. So the word is museum.
Yeah, museum.
Okay. Museum, because it's part of the show also, in terms of the aesthetics.
It's aesthetic, yes.
And so, yes, we decided to record some of those people that did the jobs that were supposed to disappear.
What jobs were?
In the show, there's a cashier, someone that works at the checkout of a shop, of a supermarket. There's someone working in a museum in Rome. You know, it's a very Italian thing. In one of the museum of the Vatican, in Chapel 16, Sistine Chapel, there's people only to say to the tourists to say shh, less sounds the whole day. This, we have a taxi driver, because apparently people who drive cars are going to be replaced quite soon because of automated cars. What do we have? I think that's pretty much it. And so we recorded them, and the first scene of the show is somehow like a museum to this kind of voice, to those kinds of voices. But the whole aesthetics of the show are a museum, actually. The more we move forward, the more we construct on stage dioramas, which are like this, these windows in museums, in natural history museums, in which you have like a reproduction of an ecosystem or like of a moment in history. And the more we move forward, the more we construct like those big stages of history as it was taught to us. And so and we end up by like the last scene is like an installation in the museum art.
It seems like because it's an accumulation.
Yeah, the show is an accumulation.
And it seems like there's more to accumulate in the future. So showroom would be in 10 years from now, like more dioramas would accumulate.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
I mean, I don't know, because in the end it's like, because you have also talked about history and these moments in history. So it's like a photogram of a moment in history which is now.
Yeah.
And they accumulate. So I was thinking about that because of that. Like,
And we
in
said
10
that the
years'
show is
time.
not the same.
No, it changes every time, yeah.
So
What changes?
Here the actress, the performer we work with, but otherwise also we change, there are the beginning, the voices that we do, and after the voices, the second scene is based on the history of the room in which we are, because it's showroom, so we also talk about rooms in which humans show things like cinema, theater, but also selling houses, museums. And so we start by giving the history of the room in which we are. And a bit like we talk about the replacement of humans by other humans, we talk about, this is the theater now, but what was there before? And and we go back in history like this to talk about, to go back to the first humans, let's say, Homo sapiens.
and this is something that will be different here in Porto.
Yeah, it will be different here in Portugal. Yeah, it will be centered around the history of the Teatro Municipal, Campo Alegre, and of the history of the city of Porto.